We often think of conspiracies as a modern invention, whispers in dark rooms, secret societies, and hidden agendas. But the art of the conspiracy was perfected long ago, in an age of stone castles, flickering candlelight, and silent monks. Tonight, we journey back to a time when a single whisper could topple a kingdom, and where the most terrifying stories turned out to be true. Let the shadows of the past lull you into a deep, peaceful sleep.
Before we begin our journey into the secrets of the past, take a moment to find a position that feels perfectly comfortable for you, adjusting your pillows and your blankets until you feel completely supported and at ease. Close your eyes and let the weight of the day simply drift away, dissolving like mist in the morning sun as you settle into the comfort of your bed, feeling the softness of the sheets and the gentle support of the mattress beneath your body. Take a deep, slow breath in, filling your lungs with cool, calming air, holding it for just a moment, and then exhale slowly, releasing any tension you might be holding in your shoulders, your neck, or your jaw, allowing your body to sink deeper and deeper into a state of pure relaxation. We are about to embark on a journey through time, back to an era of castles and kings, of shadows and secrets. But before we step into the events of history, we must first quiet the mind and prepare the spirit for the stories that await us in the safety of our imagination. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a cobblestone street in a quiet ancient town where the modern world has faded away, leaving only the charm of history and the silence of a peaceful night. Above you, the moon hangs full and bright, casting a silvery glow over the slate roofs and stone walls, and the air is crisp and cool, smelling faintly of wood smoke from distant hearths and the fresh, earthy scent of fallen leaves. You are walking slowly toward a magnificent building at the end of the lane, a structure of heavy stone and stained glass that looks like a cathedral of knowledge, a sanctuary known as the Library of Forgotten Whispers. This is a place where history sleeps, where the secrets of the past are kept safe, waiting for a curious soul to gently wake them. And as you approach the massive oak doors, you see the warm, inviting flicker of candlelight dancing behind the tall, arched windows. You reach out and grasp the heavy iron handle, feeling its solid coolness against your palm, and with a gentle push, the door swings open on silent hinges, welcoming you inside with a soft breath of warm air. The moment you step across the threshold, the world outside disappears completely, replaced by an atmosphere of profound peace and timeless stillness. The air inside is warm and smells of old parchment, rich leather bindings, dried herbs, and the sweet honeyed scent of beeswax candles that flicker in iron sconces along the stone walls. You find yourself in a vast circular room with a high vaulted ceiling that disappears into the protective shadows above, and all around you, rising from the floor to the darkness overhead, are towering shelves filled with thousands upon thousands of books. These are not just ordinary books, they are the vessels of human history, holding the dreams, the schemes, and the truths of generations long gone. The library is quiet, so quiet that you can hear the soft rhythm of your own breathing and the faint, comforting crackle of a large stone fireplace at the center of the room. You begin to walk slowly across the thick woven rug that covers the stone floor, your footsteps making no sound, feeling a sense of reverence and awe for the knowledge contained within these walls. As you pass the rows of books, you run your fingers lightly over the spines, feeling the texture of rough leather, smooth velvet, and cracked binding,
sensing the energy of the stories resting inside. Some of these books contain tales of romance and chivalry. Others hold the records of harvests and storms. But tonight we're looking for something specific. We are looking for the books of secrets, the volumes that document the conspiracies and hidden plots that shaped the medieval world. There is no need to rush, for time does not exist in this library. There is only the present moment and the comfort of being surrounded by the wisdom of the ages. You see a spiral staircase made of intricate wrought iron leading to a mezzanine level, and you decide to ascend, your hand gliding along the smooth, polished railing as you climb higher into the warmth of the room. From this vantage point, you can see the layout of the library below, a labyrinth of knowledge that feels both expansive and intimate, a place where you are perfectly safe and perfectly alone with your thoughts. You walk toward a secluded alcove near a large leaded glass window where the moonlight streams in to mingle with the golden glow of a reading lamp. In this alcove there is a large overstuffed armchair upholstered in deep crimson velvet, looking so soft and inviting that you can almost feel its embrace before you even sit down. Next to the chair is a small round table made of dark mahogany, and on the table rests a single heavy book bound in dark leather with silver clasps,
its cover worn by the hands of time. This is the book we have been seeking, the chronicle of true conspiracies, the record of shadows that turned out to be real. You lower yourself into the armchair, and it receives you perfectly, the cushions molding to your shape, supporting your back and your arms, allowing you to relax even more deeply than before. You feel a heavy, pleasant wave of drowsiness washing over you, starting at the top of your head and flowing down through your arms, your chest, your legs, all the way to your toes. Outside the window, a gentle rain begins to fall, tapping rhythmically against the glass, a soft lullaby sound that deepens your sense of security and comfort. You are warm, you are safe, and you are ready to listen. You reach out and unclasp the silver latches of the book, the metal making a soft click in the quiet room, and you slowly open the heavy cover, revealing pages of thick, cream-colored parchment covered in elegant handwritten script. The ink is black and faded, the letters looping and curling with the artistry of a medieval scribe, and as you gaze at the words, they seem to shimmer slightly in the candlelight, inviting you to step into their world. This is not a world of stress or worry, but a world of intrigue and fascination, a world where we can observe the complexities of history from a safe distance, learning from the past while resting in the present. As you prepare to read, you take another deep breath, inhaling the scent of the library, the comforting aroma of old paper and wood polish. And as you exhale, you let go of the last remnants of wakefulness, allowing your mind to drift toward the edge of sleep. The stories in this book are true, yet they feel like legends, tales of kings who whispered in the dark, of knights who fell from grace, and of secrets that were buried for centuries only to be brought into the light. We will explore the mystery of the Knights Templar, the princes in the tower, and the plots that changed the course of nations. But we will do so with the calmness of an observer who knows that all these storms have long since passed. The people in these stories have played their parts and left the stage, leaving behind only echoes, the forgotten whispers that we now hear in the safety of this sanctuary. Feel the heaviness of your eyelids, the slow, steady beat of your heart, and the profound stillness that surrounds you. The library protects you. The walls of stone stand guard against the noise of the outside world. And here, in this circle of candlelight, there is only the story. You are ready to travel back, to drift on the river of time, to float gently into the past. Imagine the year turning backward, the numbers on the calendar flipping in reverse, centuries melting away like snow in spring. The electric lights of the modern age flicker and vanish, replaced by torches and oil lamps. The hum of engines is replaced by the clip-clop of horses and the tolling of monastery bells. We are drifting toward the Middle Ages, a time of stone and steel, of faith and fear, but for us it is a landscape of dreams. As we turn the first page of the book, the parchment rustles softly, a sound like dry leaves in an autumn breeze, and the first story begins to take shape in your mind. It is a story of power and secrecy, hidden within the vaults of history, waiting for this very moment to be told. So settle deeper into the velvet chair, pull the imaginary blanket of warmth up to your chin, and let the voice of history guide you into a deep and restful slumber. The Library of Forgotten Whispers is now your home, a temple of dreams where the truth is stranger than fiction, and where the past is a lullaby for the weary soul. We are calm, we are at peace, and we are ready to listen to the whispers of time, knowing that within these pages lies the truth of the medieval world, a truth that was once hidden in shadows, but is now illuminated by the gentle light of understanding. Allow the images of the library to fade into a soft focus as the narrative begins, bridging the gap between the here and now and the then and there. The silence of the room is a canvas, and the words are the brushstrokes that will paint the scenes of the past. You are safe in the embrace of history, watching the candle flame dance, listening to the rain, and preparing to uncover the mysteries that have been waiting for you for hundreds of years. Relax, let go, and listen. As you continue to relax in the safety of your bed, feeling the gentle rhythm of your breath and the comforting weight of the blankets, let your mind drift away from the library of the present and sink deeper into the atmosphere of the medieval world. Imagine that the electric lights of the modern age have been extinguished one by one, leaving only the soft, organic glow of candlelight to guide us through the corridors of history. We are entering an era where secrets were not sent through the air on invisible waves, but were physical things, heavy with intention and crafted with patience. In this age of stone and silence, information was a treasure that had to be guarded, and the methods of keeping these secrets were as much an art form as they were a necessity. Picture yourself in a high tower room of an ancient castle, the walls made of thick gray stone that keeps the room cool and quiet. It is late at night, the witching hour, when the rest of the world is asleep, and the only sound is the wind whispering against the narrow slit of a window and the crackle of a log burning low in the hearth. In the center of the room sits a heavy wooden desk, its surface starred by years of use and stained with droplets of black ink. A single beeswax candle burns in an iron holder, its flames standing tall and steady, casting long dancing shadows against the tapestries that hang on the walls. These shadows seem to have a life of their own, stretching and shrinking as if they are the guardians of the words being written. Seated at the desk is a figure cloaked in wool, a scribe or perhaps a spy master, their face hidden in the dim light, focused entirely on the piece of parchment spread out before them. This is not paper as we know it today, fragile and white, but parchment made from the skin of sheep or calves, durable and textured, with a faint smell of the animal and the lime used to cure it.
Run your imagination over the surface of the parchment, feeling the slight roughness, the hair side and the flesh side, a material built to last for centuries. The scribe reaches for a quill, a long feather plucked from a goose or a swan, and with a small sharp knife they carefully crave the tip, shaping it into a perfect nib that will hold the ink just right. The sound of the knife against the quill is a rhythmic scrape, a sound of preparation and intent. Next to the parchment sits an inkwell made of horn or ceramic, filled with a dark viscous liquid known as iron gall ink. This ink was born from nature, made from oak galls found on trees, mixed with iron salts and gum arabic, a concoction that would bite into the parchment and turn an indelible black as it dried, becoming a permanent part of history. Watch as the scribe dips the quill into the well, tapping it gently against the rim to remove the excess, and then touches the nib to the page. The sound of writing in the Middle Ages was not a silent tap on a screen, but a physical scratching, an audible friction as the quill moved across the textured surface. Scritch, scratch, dip, and pause. The rhythm is hypnotic, a slow and steady cadence that marks the passage of time. But this document is not an ordinary letter. It is a vessel of conspiracy, a message that could topple a king or save a kingdom, and so it cannot be written in plain language for any prying eye to read. The scribe begins to employ the arts of cryptography, the science of hidden writing. Perhaps they are using a simple substitution cipher, where every letter is replaced by another, turning a clear message into a jumble of nonsense that only the intended recipient can decode. Or maybe they're using a grill, a sheet of paper with holes cut in specific places, which, when placed over the letter, reveals the true message hidden within a mundane text about the harvest or the weather. Imagine the concentration required, the silence of the room amplifying the focus of the writer as they weave a web of deception with ink and intellect. There were other ways to hide secrets in the shadows of the past, methods that seem like magic to the modern mind. Imagine the scribe reaching for a different liquid, perhaps the juice of a lemon or milk, writing between the lines of the visible text. To the naked eye, the parchment appears blank in those spaces, but when the recipient holds the paper over the heat of a candle, the hidden words will brown and appear, ghosts rising from the page to deliver their silent message. This was the technology of the time, simple yet effective, relying on the elements of fire and chemistry. As the letter is finished, the scribe sprinkles a fine powder known as pounce over the wet ink to dry it, blowing the excess away in a small cloud of dust that sparkles momentarily in the candlelight. Now comes the final seal of security, the wax. A stick of red sealing wax is held over the candle flame, melting slowly, forming a hot viscous droplet that falls onto the folded parchment with a soft splat. Before the wax can cool, the scribe presses a signet ring into the soft red pool. This ring bears a unique crest, a lion, a shield, or a distinct initial, and its impression is the guarantee of authenticity, a warning that this seal must only be broken by the hand for which it is meant. The wax cools and hardens, locking the secrets inside, turning the parchment into a secure vault. The room is quiet again, the scratching has stopped, and the letter sits on the desk, a silent traveler ready for a dangerous journey. But how did these secrets move across the land in a time before cars or trains? Imagine the messenger, a solitary rider waiting in the courtyard below, their breath misting in the cold night air. The letter is not merely placed in a pocket, it is hidden. It might be sewn into the lining of a velvet doublet, or tucked inside the hollow heel of a riding boot, or rolled tightly and placed inside a hollowed-out shaft of a falsified key. The ingenuity of concealment was boundless. The messenger mounts their horse, the leather of the saddle creaking softly, and with a quiet command they ride out of the castle gates, the hooves of the horse muffled by the dirt road. Picture the landscape they travel through, a world of deep, dark forests and rolling hills, illuminated only by the moon and the stars. There were no streetlights, no glow of cities on the horizon, only the vast, consuming darkness of the medieval night. The rider moves like a shadow, passing through sleeping villages where houses are shuttered tight, crossing stone bridges over rushing rivers that reflect the moonlight like flowing silver. This journey is slow, dictated by the endurance of the horse and the state of the muddy roads. A message sent from London to Rome or from Paris to Jerusalem could take weeks or even months to arrive. During that time, the secret lived in a state of suspension, a whisper carried on the wind, vulnerable to bandits, to storms, and to the shifting tides of war. Yet there was a patience to this world that we can scarcely imagine today. The anticipation of news was a long, slow burn. People waited, watching the horizon, knowing that their fate was riding somewhere out there in the dark. Back in the tower room, the scribe extinguishes the candle. The flame flickers once, twice, and then dies, sending a thin ribbon of gray smoke curling up into the darkness. The smell of the extinguished wick, sharp and smoky, mingles with the scent of old parchment. The room is plunged into shadow, but it is a comforting darkness, a blanket of night that covers the castle and the countryside. The secret has been sent, the work is done, and now there is only the waiting. As you lie in your bed, visualize that medieval world settling down to sleep. The fires in the great hearths are banked with ash to keep the embers alive until morning. The drawbridges are raised, the gates are barred, and the watchmen pace slowly along the ramparts, looking out over a peaceful, sleeping land. The ink is dry, the parchment is folded, and the shadows have reclaimed the room. You are part of this stillness now. You can feel the quiet satisfaction of a task completed, the security of a secret well kept. The complexities of ciphers and codes, the danger of the messenger's ride, and the heat of the sealing wax all fade into a soft historical blur. It is a time of slow rhythms where the sun dictates the day and the candle dictates the night. You are safe here, far removed from the urgency of the modern world, resting in the timeless quiet of the past. The stories of conspiracies that we will uncover are written in this ink, sealed with this wax, and hidden in these shadows. They are waiting for us, preserved in the silence, but for now we simply rest in the atmosphere of the age. Let the image of the flickering candle be the last thing you see in your mind's eye, a small warm light that gently fades away, leaving you in a comfortable velvety darkness. The scratching of the quill is gone, replaced by the steady, soothing sound of your own breathing. The parchment is rolled and put away. The secrets are safe. The night is yours. Sleep is coming, riding slowly and steadily like the messenger on the dark road, bringing with it the gift of rest and the promise of dreams. We leave the scribe's room, we leave the castle tower, and we float gently in the space between moments, ready to drift deeper into the stories that lie ahead, but perfectly content to just be here, in the quiet, in the dark, in the peace of the ages. Now that we have settled into the rhythm of the past, let the images of the library and the scribe fade gently into the mist, allowing your mind to travel across the channel and deeper into the heart of medieval Europe, specifically to the Kingdom of France in the autumn of the year 1307. It is a time when the world moved at the speed of a horse's gallop, and the seasons dictated the rhythm of life. And as you lie comfortably in your bed, feeling the warmth and safety of your own sanctuary, imagine the cool, crisp air of an October night settling over the city of Paris. The leaves on the trees have turned to gold and rust, carpeting the cobblestone streets in soft layers that dampen the sound of footsteps, and a thick white fog is rolling off the river Seine, wrapping the stone bridges and the tall spires of the churches in a blanket of silence. This is not just any night, but the night before a dawn that will change history forever, the eve of Friday the 13th, a date that will echo through the centuries as a symbol of bad luck and misfortune. But here, in the quiet dark of the 14th century, it is simply a Thursday night, peaceful and unsuspecting. The city sleeps, the bakers have finished their evening loaves, the smiths have put down their hammers, and the great bells of Notre Dame are silent, waiting for the morning prayers. Yet in the heart of the city, within the thick walls of the royal palace, there is a light that does not go out. Visualize the King of France, Philip IV, known as Philip the Fair for his handsome appearance, but feared for his cold iron will. He sits in a high-backed chair, upholstered in blue velvet, staring into the embers of a dying fire, his face unreadable, a mask of calm calculation. He is a man of secrets, a king who speaks little but sees everything, and tonight he is the architect of the most ambitious and silent conspiracy the medieval world has ever known. For years he has watched the Knights Templar, the warrior monks who own vast treasures and hold immense power, power that rivals his own. The Templars are the bankers of the world, the guardians of the Holy Land, men of steel and faith who answer only to the Pope. But King Philip is in debt, his wars have been costly, and his coffers are empty. As you breathe in slowly and deeply, imagine the tension in the room, not a frantic energy, but a heavy, suspended stillness, like the air before a thunderstorm. The plan has already been set in motion, not with the clash of swords, but with the quiet scratch of the quill we heard before. Weeks ago, on the 14th of September, royal messengers rode out from Paris in secret, carrying sealed orders to every bailiff, seneschal, and soldier across the Kingdom of France. These messengers rode through the rain and the wind, stopping at castles and garrisons in Normandy, in Toulouse, in Champagne, and in Burgundy, handing over the heavy parchment scrolls with a strict command that they must not be opened until a specific moment. Imagine the discipline, the sheer logistical miracle of this silence. Hundreds of letters waiting in hundreds of hands, all sealed with the king's wax, all holding the same explosive command. The recipients did not know what they held. They only knew that they must wait for the dawn of Friday the 13th. Back in Paris, the Templars are sleeping in their great fortress, the Temple, a sprawling complex of towers and walls that stands as a city within a city. The Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, is an old man now, tired from his travels, resting in his bed, believing himself to be safe in the heart of Christendom, a friend to the king, a pillar of the church. He dreams, perhaps, of the hot sun of Jerusalem or the olive groves of the east, unaware that the cold fog of Paris is closing in around him. As you exhale slowly, releasing the tension of your day, feel the profound ignorance of the victims, a reminder that history often turns on a dime, shifting while we sleep. The clock of the universe ticks forward, moving from midnight to the early hours of the morning. The city of Paris is a landscape of grays and blacks, the only light coming from the moon fighting through the mist. The river flows silently, carrying the secrets of the city out to the sea. The king waits. His advisor, Guillaume de Nogaret, the man who whispered the plot into the king's ear, stands by the window, watching the east for the first sign of gray light. It is a conspiracy of silence, a net woven so finely that the fish do not even know they are caught. This is the origin of the superstition, the reason why 700 years later people still shudder at the mention of Friday the 13th. It was not a day of supernatural horror, but a day of bureaucratic efficiency, a raid so perfectly timed that it left the world breathless. Slowly, inevitably, the sky begins to lighten. The deep velvet black turns to a bruised purple, then to a steel gray. The birds in the eaves of the houses begin to stir, their soft chirping the only sound in the waiting world. In every town in France, from the misty coasts to the sun-baked vineyards of the south, soldiers are waking up, rubbing the sleep from their eyes and breaking the wax seals on the orders they received weeks ago. They read the words with shock and awe. Arrest the Templars, seize their goods, hold them in the king's name. It is a command that seems impossible, for the Templars are the heroes of the Crusades, untouchable and holy, but the king's word is law.
As the sun begins to crest the horizon, painting the clouds in shades of pale pink and orange, the trap snaps shut. In Paris, the sound of marching boots breaks the silence of the dawn. It is a rhythmic, hypnotic sound, left, right, echoing on the stones. The king's guards move through the mist like ghosts, converging on the temple fortress. There is no shouting, no blaring of trumpets, for surprise is their greatest weapon. You can imagine the cool dampness of the morning air against your skin, the smell of the river and the wet pavement. The guards reach the heavy wooden gates of the Templar headquarters. A fist bangs on the door. Boom, boom, boom. The sound resonates through the sleeping tower, waking the knights from their slumber. They stumble out of bed, confused, reaching for robes instead of swords, their minds still foggy with sleep. When they open the gates, they do not find enemies from a foreign land, but the king's own men, presenting the royal warrant. It is over before it even begins. Across the entirety of France, at the exact same hour, this scene is repeated. In lonely preceptories in the countryside, in bustling commanderies in the cities, the soldiers of the king strike in unison. It is a masterstroke of coordination, a feat that would be difficult even with modern technology, achieved in the Middle Ages through patience and secrecy. The Templars, the most feared warriors on earth, are taken without a fight, captured in their nightshirts, their power dismantled in a single morning. As the sun rises higher, burning off the fog, the news begins to spread through the streets of Paris. The people wake up to a different world. The invincible order has fallen. The king has won. But for us, watching from the safety of the future, the violence and the politics fade into the background, leaving only the atmosphere of the event. We focus on the quiet of the aftermath, the emptiness of the Templar halls,
the dust motes dancing in the shafts of sunlight that pierce the high windows of the now silent fortress. The conspiracy was real, the plot was true, and the result was absolute. The day of Friday the 13th passes into evening, the sun setting on a changed Europe. The king returns to his fire, the letters are filed away, and the history books are rewritten. Feel the weight of this story settling in your mind, not as a source of worry, but as a testament to the flow of time. Empires rise and fall, orders are built and destroyed, kings plot and plan, but the river still flows, the sun still rises, and the night still comes to bring us rest. You are far removed from these ancient intrigues, safe in the comfort of your bed, separated from the 14th century by an ocean of time. The tension of the plot dissolves, leaving only a sense of wonder at the complexities of the past. The shadows of the Templars march away into the mist, their story told, their secrets kept. The silence of that medieval morning wraps around you now, a comforting, heavy blanket of quiet. The world is still. The king is asleep. The knights are gone. There is only the soft rhythm of your breathing, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, and the peaceful darkness of your room. You are drifting deeper into relaxation, letting the date of Friday the 13th lose its fear and become just another page in the great book of history. The dawn has passed, the day is done, and now it is time for the long, restful night. Let the gray mist of Paris swirl in your mind, softening the edges of your thoughts, slowing down your heartbeat, lulling you into a deep and restorative sleep. The story is a river that carries you gently, flowing on, past the castles and the kings, past the dates and the deeds, toward the ocean of dreams. You are safe, you are warm, and you are ready to let go of the waking world, sinking down, down, down into the velvet darkness of history's embrace. As the echoes of the soldiers' boots fade from the cobblestones of Paris and the morning mist lifts to reveal a changed world, we find ourselves standing in the quiet aftermath of the Great Arrest, safe in the sanctuary of our own time, looking back through the lens of history at the fall of the soldier monks. The prisons are full, and the king's men guard the doors. But the question that hangs in the air like smoke is not how it happened, but why. The official proclamations are read in the town squares, men with loud voices unrolling scrolls to tell the people that the Knights Templar were heretics, that they worshipped strange idols and spat on the cross, that they had lost their way and fallen into darkness. The people listen, eyes wide with fear and confusion, for these monks were the heroes of the Crusades, the defenders of the faith, the men who bled in the sand for a holy cause. But as you lie there, comfortable and warm, supported by your bed and wrapped in the soft silence of the night, we can peel back the layers of these ancient lies to find the simple, quiet truth hidden underneath. It is a truth not of demons or magic, but of something far more mundane and human, a truth made of gold, silver, and the heavy burden of debt. Imagine yourself walking invisibly through the corridors of the royal treasury in the Louvre, a fortress within the city where King Philip keeps his accounts. The air here smells of dry parchment, old wax, and the metallic tang of coins. The room is dim, lit only by the flickering light of a few tallow candles that cast long, wavering shadows against the stone walls. On the tables lie the ledgers of the Kingdom of France, great books bound in leather that tell a story of bankruptcy and ruin. The king, for all his power and majesty, is a man drowning in debt. He has borrowed heavily to fight his wars against the English and the Flemish, and his creditors are knocking at the door. And who are the greatest bankers in the world? The men who invented the check and the safe deposit box? The men who hold the deeds to thousands of estates across Europe? They are the Templars. As you breathe in deeply, imagine the immense wealth of the order, not as a pile of greed, but as a vast golden ocean that the king looks upon with envy. The Templars had become too powerful, a state within a state, answering to no king, paying no taxes, and holding the keys to the vaults that Philip so desperately needed to open. The conspiracy was never about religion, it was about resources. It was a hostile takeover, orchestrated with the precision of a military campaign. Philip looked at the temple fortress in Paris not as a house of God, but as a treasure chest that he did not have the key to, and so he decided to break the lock. Feel the calmness of understanding washing over you, the realization that history is often less mysterious than it seems, driven by the same forces of economics and power that move the world today. The accusations of heresy were merely the smokescreen, a terrifying story invented to justify the seizure of assets.
It is a plot that feels almost modern in its construction, a spin campaign designed to destroy the reputation of the enemy before taking their property. As you relax deeper into your mattress, letting your shoulders drop and your jaw loosen, visualize the empty halls of a Templar preceptory in the countryside of France. The knights are gone, taken away in the dawn raids, and the building stands silent and abandoned. The sunlight streams through the narrow windows, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, settling on the long wooden tables where the brothers once ate in silence. The fire in the great hearth has gone out, leaving a pile of cold gray ash. There is a profound sense of peace in this abandonment, a feeling that the frantic energy of the order has finally come to a rest. Walk through the chapel, where the stone floor is cool and smooth, worn down by centuries of kneeling. The altar is bare, the candles are unlit, and the only sound is the wind whistling softly through the eaves. It is here, in the silence, that the truth resides. The gold that was once stored here has been carted away by the king's agents, loaded onto wagons, and taken to the royal mint to be melted down and stamped with Philip's face. The land, the vineyards, the farms, and the forests that belonged to the monks are now being divided up, argued over by lawyers and nobles. The soldier monks, who once charged into battle on war horses draped in white and red, have become pawns in a game of chess played by men in velvet robes. But there is another layer to this conspiracy, a secret within a secret, that was hidden for 700 years until a serendipitous discovery in the Vatican archives. Imagine a piece of parchment, misfiled and forgotten, gathering dust on a shelf for centuries, known as the Chignon parchment. This document, discovered only recently by our modern world, reveals that the Pope, Clement V, knew the charges were false. He secretly absolved the Templar leadership, finding no heresy, only human frailty. But the Pope was weak, a prisoner of the French king's influence, and he buried this truth to save his own skin and the unity of the Church. The conspiracy was so successful that it silenced even the head of the Church. Think of that parchment lying in the dark for all those years, holding the vindication of the fallen knights, a silent witness to the truth that waited patiently for the right time to speak. It is a comforting thought that the truth eventually finds its way to the light, that nothing is hidden forever. As you drift further down the river of sleep,
Let the image of the Templars change in your mind. No longer are they the fierce warriors of the Crusades, but weary travelers who have finally laid down their burdens.
The struggle is over. The politics of the 14th century cannot hurt them anymore. The king who coveted their gold has been dust for centuries, his ambitions forgotten, his debts meaningless. The gold itself has been melted, recast, spent and lost, scattered to the winds of time. All that remains is the story, a bedtime tale of intrigue that helps us drift away from our own worries. The fall of the soldier monks teaches us about the impermanence of power and the enduring nature of silence. We leave the empty vaults and the quiet chapels, walking out into the open air, where the stars are shining down on the medieval landscape. The world is vast and old, and we are just small specks of consciousness resting within it. The tension of the purge has dissolved into the tranquility of the past. You can feel the heavy, comforting blanket of history wrapping around you, shielding you from the noise of the present. The motives of the king, the silence of the pope, the fate of the treasure, all these things are woven into the tapestry of the night, a complex pattern that fades into a blur as your eyes grow heavy. The true motive was gold, but the result is silence. A deep, resounding silence that fills the space between the stars. You are safe here, floating on the surface of these old memories, watching the ripples of history smooth out into a calm, glassy lake. The soldier monks are sleeping, the king is sleeping, the world is sleeping. There is no more need to search for answers, for the book is closed and the library is quiet. The shadows of the past are friendly now, keeping watch over your rest. Let go of the need to understand every detail and simply accept the flow of time. Everything passes. The greatest fortunes, the strongest castles, the most powerful armies, they all fade away, leaving only the quiet earth and the peaceful sky. You are part of this eternal cycle of rest and renewal. As the story of the Templars fades, you feel a deep sense of relaxation spreading through your body, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. The heavy doors of the treasury are closed. The secret parchment is rolled up and put away. The candles are snuffed out. It is time to leave the 14th century behind and drift into the personal sanctuary of your dreams. The true conspiracy is that history has conspired to bring you to this moment of perfect rest. Sleep is the only treasure that matters now. Deep, restorative, peaceful sleep. The story is done. The silence remains. You are drifting. You are safe. You are asleep. Leave the vineyards of France and the echoes of the Templars behind you now, letting those memories drift away like leaves floating down a gentle stream, and allow your mind to travel north, crossing the English Channel where the gray waves meet the white cliffs of Dover, and continuing up the winding path of the River Thames until we reach the heart of medieval London in the summer of the year 1483. The air here is different, cooler and damper, carrying the scent of rain and the river, and as you snuggle deeper into the warmth of your bed, imagine the mist rolling in from the water, wrapping the city in a soft white embrace that muffles the sounds of the bustling world and turns the sharp edges of the buildings into gentle, ghostly shapes. We are drifting toward a place that has stood for 1,000 years, a fortress of white stone that dominates the skyline, the Tower of London. But do not think of it as a place of fear tonight. Think of it as it was intended to be, a royal palace, a sanctuary of safety for the kings and queens of the realm. It is late June. The days are long and the evenings are slow to fade,
casting a violet twilight over the city, and the tower stands strong and silent against the darkening sky. Within these thick walls, protected by the moat and the guards, live two young boys, Edward, the 12-year-old king who has not yet been crowned, and his younger brother, Richard, the Duke of York, who is just 9 years old. They are the sons of the late King Edward IV, the rightful heirs to the throne, and they have been brought here to prepare for the coronation, a time of celebration and pomp. Imagine the texture of the stone walls in their chambers, cool to the touch, solid and unyielding, offering a sense of permanence in a shifting world. The room is furnished with heavy tapestries depicting hunting scenes and mythical beasts, hanging from floor to ceiling to keep out the drafts, and the floor is covered in sweet-smelling rushes and herbs, lavender and meadowsweet, that release a calming fragrance whenever they are stepped upon. The boys are playing in the garden of the White Tower, shooting arrows at a target or running across the green grass, their laughter echoing softly off the ancient stones, a sound of innocence that seems to defy the heavy political storm gathering outside the gates. They wear tunics of velvet and silk, in deep blues and crimsons, embroidered with threads of gold that catch the last rays of the setting sun. As you breathe in slowly and deeply, feel the quiet isolation of their world, a golden cage where they are protected from the common people, but also cut off from them, living in a bubble of royalty and silence. The conspiracy that surrounds them is not one of sudden violence, but of a slow, creeping shadow, a gradual disappearance that feels like the fading of a dream. Their uncle, Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, is the protector of the realm, a man of ambition and calculation who watches from the shadows. He has declared that the boys are illegitimate, that their father's marriage was invalid, and therefore they cannot be kings. It is a story whispered in the streets of London, preached from the pulpits, and debated in the halls of power. But inside the tower, the days just grow quieter and quieter. Imagine the slow withdrawal of the world. The servants being dismissed one by one, the visitors becoming fewer and fewer, until it is just the two brothers and a handful of attendants left in the vast, echoing fortress. The coronation date is postponed once, then twice, and then forgotten altogether. The boys are seen less frequently at the windows, their faces pale and watchful behind the glass. The city of London continues to turn. The merchants sell their wares, the boats ply the river, the bells of the churches ring out the hours, but the princes are slipping away into the mists of history. There is a hypnotic quality to this vanishing, like watching a ship sail over the horizon until it is just a speck, and then nothing at all. They do not cry out, they do not fight, they simply cease to be part of the visible world. One day they are seen shooting bows in the yard, the next day they are seen only through a high window, and then, as the summer turns to autumn, and the leaves begin to fall from the trees in the tower green, they are seen no more. The heavy wooden doors of the garden tower, which we now know as the Bloody Tower, are closed and barred. The silence that descends is absolute. It is the silence of a secret kept by stone and water. Rumors swirl through the streets like the fog. People whisper that the boys have been sent to a foreign land, or that they are hiding in a monastery, or that they have been taken by the angels while they slept. But the truth is simpler and more somber, a conspiracy of removal. Richard assumes the throne, becoming Richard III, and the boys become the princes in the tower, a legend, a mystery, a ghost story told by the fireside. As you lie in the safety of your own room, far away from the intrigues of the 15th century, feel the peace of knowing that their struggle is long over. They are no longer frightened children in a big castle. They have become part of the fabric of time, resting eternally in the quiet embrace of history. 200 years later, workmen repairing a staircase in the White Tower would find a wooden chest containing two small skeletons buried deep beneath the stones, hidden away where no one would look. It was the final confirmation of the conspiracy, the physical proof of the whisper that had lasted for centuries. But tonight we do not dwell on the sadness of their end, but on the stillness of their resting place. The Tower of London still stands, a guardian of secrets, its white stones glowing in the moonlight. The River Thames still flows past it, a dark, moving ribbon of water that has seen everything and forgotten nothing. The current moves steadily out to sea, carrying with it the ambitions of kings and the fears of princes, washing everything clean. Listen to the imaginary sound of the river lapping against the Traitor's Gate, a rhythmic, soothing sound, slosh, slosh, slosh. It is the heartbeat of London, a lullaby that has put the city to sleep for 1,000 years. The mystery of the princes is wrapped in this water and this stone, preserved in the amber of the past. You can visualize the two boys not as victims, but as two stars in the night sky, shining down on the sleeping city, forever young, forever together. The conspiracy has turned into a legend, and the legend has turned into a sleep story. The heavy velvet curtains of history are drawn close, shutting out the light, leaving only the comfort of the dark. The noise of the court, the clatter of armor, the whispers of the spies, it all fades away into a soft hum. You are walking through the empty courtyards of the tower in your mind, feeling the cool night air on your face, looking up at the battlements where the sentries once paced. All is quiet, all is still. The princes are asleep. The king is asleep. The city is asleep. You are part of this great, timeless slumber. The questions of who did it and exactly how it was done are no longer important, for the answers are lost to the silence. What remains is the feeling of weight, the heaviness of the stone, the depth of the river, the thickness of the fog. It presses down on you gently, like a heavy quilt, encouraging you to let go, to stop thinking, to stop wondering. The story of the princes is a bridge to the land of dreams, a path that leads you away from the bright lights of today into the soothing shadows of yesterday. Allow the image of the tower to recede, becoming smaller and smaller, until it is just a toy castle in the distance, and then let it vanish completely into the mist. You are floating now, unburdened by the past, drifting in a space of pure relaxation. The silence of the medieval night is yours. The peace of the vanished princes is yours. There is nothing left to do but to close your eyes and sink into the deep, dark, restful waters of sleep, letting the current take you where it will. The conspiracy is solved, the history is written, and the book is closed. Sleep, peace, silence.
As the seasons continue to turn in the slow and steady rhythm of the medieval world, we leave the fading echoes of the summer behind and watch as the leaves turn from gold to brown and finally fall to the earth, making way for the deep and silent embrace of winter. The year is 1483, and a profound chill has settled over the kingdom of England, a cold that seeps into the stone walls of the castles and freezes the ruts in the muddy roads, turning the landscape into a painting of stark contrasts, black trees against a white sky. Imagine that you are safe and warm in your bed, protected from this ancient winter by layers of modern comfort, while your mind travels back to witness a world held in the grip of frost and snow. The days are short, the sun barely climbing above the horizon before it sinks again, leaving the world in a long, stretching twilight that seems to last forever. In this darkness, the ambition of one man burns like a solitary ember in a pile of ash, a heat that is hidden deep within, waiting for the right wind to fan it into a flame. This is the winter of Richard, the Duke of Gloucester, the man who would become king, and his story is not one of noise and fury, but of quiet calculation and the heavy silence of waiting. Picture a great hall in a northern castle, perhaps Middleham or dark Pontefract, where the wind howls around the battlements like a lost soul seeking entry. Inside, the walls are hung with thick wool tapestries to keep out the drafts, depicting scenes of old battles and forgotten heroes, their colors muted in the dim light. A massive fire burns in the central hearth, logs the size of small trees crackling and spitting, sending showers of orange sparks up into the blackened chimney. The heat from the fire struggles against the cold of the room, creating a small circle of warmth where the dogs sleep and the people gather. Richard sits in a high-backed wooden chair carved with the white boar, his personal emblem, wrapped in a heavy robe lined with dark fur, his hands resting still on the arms of the chair. He is a man of deep thought, his mind a labyrinth of plans and contingencies, plotting a path to the crown that requires not just strength, but absolute secrecy. As you breathe in the cool, imaginary air of the castle, feel the stillness of the room, a silence that is heavy with things unsaid. The conspiracy to take the throne is not spoken aloud. It is written in glances, in subtle nods, in parchment letters sealed with dark wax and sent out into the snowy night. The snow begins to fall outside, large, soft flakes that drift down from the leaden sky, covering the courtyard, the stables, and the drawbridge in a pristine blanket of white. The snow muffles the world, absorbing the sound of horses' hooves and the footsteps of the guards, creating a sense of isolation and privacy that is perfect for hidden ambitions. Richard watches the fire, his eyes reflecting the dancing flames, thinking of the nephews in the tower, of the nobles in London, of the delicate balance of power that hangs by a thread.
He knows that winter is the time for planning, for gathering strength while the earth sleeps. The path to the stolen crown is a lonely road, walked in the shadows of the night. You can imagine the scratch of a quill on parchment, a sound we have heard before, but now it is slower, more deliberate. He is writing to his allies in the north, to the men of York who are loyal to him, summoning them to London, not for war, but for a show of strength. The messages are carried by riders who brave the bitter cold, their cloaks wrapped tight against the wind, their breath steaming in the freezing air. They ride through forests where the branches are heavy with snow, snapping under the weight, through villages where the thatched roofs are white peaks against the dark sky. The entire kingdom is held in suspension, waiting for the spring that feels so far away. In London, the mood is tense and quiet. The citizens hurry through the streets, their heads bowed against the biting wind, anxious to get back to the warmth of their fires. They whisper about the Duke, about the protector who acts like a king, but they do not speak too loudly, for the snow seems to have ears. Richard moves towards the capital, a slow procession of dark figures against the white landscape. He enters the city not as a conqueror with trumpets blaring, but as a shadow lengthening across the floor. The coup, when it finally solidifies, happens behind closed doors, in the chapter house of Westminster, in the private chambers of the palace. It is a conspiracy of law and lineage, a manipulation of words and statutes. Titulus Regis, the document that declares the princes illegitimate and Richard the true heir, is the weapon of this silent war. It is read aloud to an assembly of lords who nod in agreement, some out of loyalty, some out of fear, but all bound by the gravity of the moment. The crown is offered, and with a show of reluctance, Richard accepts. The weight of the gold circle, studded with rubies and sapphires, is heavy, a physical manifestation of the burden he has sought. Visualize the moment of coronation, the abbey cold and vast, the stone pillars rising into the gloom, the scent of incense mixing with the smell of damped wool and old stone. The chanting of the monks is low and monotonous, a hypnotic drone that echoes through the vaulted ceiling. Richard sits on the throne, the stolen crown upon his head, the scepter in his hand, and for a moment the world stands still. The ambition is realized, the winter has yielded its fruit. But as you lie in the comfort of your bed, you can feel the hollowness of this victory. The crown is cold metal. The power is a lonely thing. The winter outside does not care who is king. The snow continues to fall, indifferent to the plots of men, covering the tracks of the riders, burying the secrets of the past under layer after layer of white. The reign of Richard III will be short and turbulent, but tonight, in this story, we are only concerned with the winter of his rise. We focus on the atmosphere of the season, the way the cold forces us to turn inward, to seek the warmth of the fire and the comfort of sleep.
The conspiracy is complete. The rightful heirs are gone, the usurper sits on the throne, and history turns a page. But the enduring image is one of quiet, of a world muffled by snow. Imagine looking out from the castle window one last time. The fires of London are small pinpricks of light in the vast darkness. The River Thames is a black snake winding through the white city. Everything is slow, everything is still. The heavy velvet curtains are drawn across the window, shutting out the cold, shutting out the ambition, leaving only the warmth of the room. The fire has burned down to glowing red embers, pulsing with a gentle heat. The dogs are asleep on the rushes. The guards are dozing at their posts. The king is alone with his thoughts, but his eyes are heavy now. The crown is placed on a velvet cushion, its jewels glinting in the dying light. It is time to rest. The winter night is long and deep, a perfect time for sleep. Let go of the kings and the castles. Let go of the history and the secrets. There is only the quiet. There is only the dark. There is only the sleep. Deep winter sleep. Drifting, floating, resting. The long night wraps around you, protecting you, holding you. Good night to the king. Good night to the crown. Good night to the snow. Sleep now. Sleep. Leave the cold, snow-covered landscapes of medieval England behind you now, letting the white winter fade from your mind like a dream in the morning light, and allow your imagination to travel south, crossing the great peaks of the Alps and descending into the warm, golden embrace of the Italian peninsula. We are moving forward in time just a few years, arriving in the glorious spring of 1478 in the city that is the jewel of the Renaissance, Florence. The air here is different. It is soft and sweet, carrying the scent of blooming cypress, orange blossoms, and the fresh, earthy smell of the river Arno that flows gently through the heart of the city. As you lie comfortably in your bed, feeling the support of the mattress and the softness of your pillow, imagine the sunlight of Tuscany warming your skin,
a gentle, healing heat that relaxes every muscle in your body. The city of Florence is a masterpiece of terracotta roofs, pale stone palaces, and winding streets, all sitting beneath a sky of the deepest, clearest azure blue. But dominating the skyline, rising above the city like a protective mountain made by human hands, is the great dome of the cathedral, Santa Maria del Fiore. It is a marvel of engineering, a vast red shell that seems to float above the city, a symbol of stability and divine grace. It is Sunday morning, the 26th of April, a day of rest and a day of worship. The church bells are ringing across the city, a deep, resonant bong, 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 calling the faithful to Mass. The sound is hypnotic, a slow rhythm that echoes off the stone walls and drifts out over the river, lulling the city into a state of reverence. Inside the great cathedral, the atmosphere is cool and vast. Step out of the bright Italian sun and into the cavernous interior of the church, where the air is still and smells of ancient stone, beeswax candles, and the rich, spicy aroma of frankincense. The light filters in through the stained glass windows, casting pools of ruby, emerald, and sapphire light onto the marble floor. Thousands of people are gathered here, the citizens of Florence in their Sunday best, wearing robes of velvet and silk in deep reds and lush greens. At the front, near the high altar, stand the rulers of the city, the magnificent Medici brothers, Lorenzo and Giuliano. They are the golden princes of the Renaissance, patrons of the arts, beloved by the people, and they stand there unprotected, believing themselves to be safe in the house of God. But the shadows of conspiracy can reach even into the holiest of places. Hidden among the crowd, disguised by fine clothes and feigned piety, are the members of the Pazzi family and their allies, men whose hearts are hardened by jealousy and ambition. They have decided that this Sunday, under the Great Dome, will be the day the Medici rule ends. The plot is woven into the liturgy itself, a conspiracy timed to the rhythm of the Mass. As you breathe in slowly and deeply, feel the tension that is invisible to the crowd, but palpable in the silence of history. The conspirators are waiting for a specific signal, the most sacred moment of the service, the raising of the host. It is a moment of profound silence, when every head is bowed and every knee is bent, a moment when the world seems to stop. The choir is singing a motet, their voices rising in complex, weaving harmonies that float up into the vast space of the dome, circling higher and higher like smoke. The beauty of the music stands in stark contrast to the dark intent of the men with daggers hidden beneath their cloaks. The priest raises the bread, and the bell rings, ting, 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 and the silence is shattered. The attack begins not with a roar, but with a sudden, confused movement in the crowd. Steel flashes in the candlelight. Giuliano falls, tragic and silent, a victim of the plot. But Lorenzo, the older brother, the magnificent one, is quick. He draws his sword, wrapping his heavy cloak around his arm as a shield, moving with the grace of a dancer amidst the chaos. The cathedral, which was a place of peace just moments ago, becomes a scene of confusion. But for us, watching from the safety of the centuries, the violence is softened, blurred like a painting in motion. We focus on the escape, on the survival. Lorenzo and his friends retreat towards the new sacristy, a heavy bronze door that offers sanctuary. They slip through the gap, pushing against the weight of the metal, and with a resounding boom, the great doors slam shut. Click. The lock turns. The noise of the cathedral is instantly cut off, replaced by the breathless silence of the small stone room. Lorenzo is safe. The conspiracy has failed to kill the head of the family. Outside, the great dome looks down on it all, impassive and eternal. It has seen generations rise and fall. It has seen plots and prayers, and it remains unmoved, a testament to the endurance of stone and spirit. The chaos in the church settles as the realization spreads that Lorenzo lives. The Pazzi plot, hatched in secret meetings and whispered in dark corners, unravels in the bright light of day. But as we drift deeper into relaxation, we let the politics and the history fade away. We are left with the sensory experience of the cathedral after the doors have closed. Imagine the vast empty space of the Duomo at night, after the crowds have gone and the incense has settled. The air is cool and quiet. The only light comes from the votive candles flickering in the side chapels, tiny stars in a dark sky of stone. The great dome arches overhead, a dark void that feels protective and womb-like. The events of the morning are just echoes now, absorbed by the walls. The city of Florence outside is settling down to sleep. The sun sets over the Arno, painting the water in shades of purple and gold. The bridges are empty, the shops are closed. The Palazzo Vecchio stands guard over the piazza, its tower reaching up to the first stars of the evening. You are walking mentally through these quiet streets, feeling the cobblestones beneath your feet, feeling the peace that returns after the storm. The conspiracy was real, the danger was true, but it is over. The Medici line continued, the art continued, the beauty continued. The plot beneath the dome is now just a story to lull you to sleep, a reminder that even in the midst of danger, there is escape, there is safety, there is a heavy bronze door that closes to keep the world out. You can feel that sense of closure now in your own life. You are closing the door on the day, shutting out the noise, the work, the worries. You are locking the world away, just as Lorenzo locked the doors of the sacristy. Inside your room, inside your mind, there is only peace. The air is still, the light is dim, you are safe. The great dome of sleep is arching over you, vast and comforting. The history of Florence becomes a soft lullaby, a tale of survival and resilience. The faces of the conspirators fade into the shadows. The golden robes of the Medici fade into the darkness. All that is left is the feeling of the warm Italian night. The scent of the orange blossoms drifts through your window in the imaginary breeze. The river flows silently to the sea. You are drifting, floating, sinking deeper into the mattress. The tension of the plot has transformed into the relaxation of the resolution. Everything is resolved. Everything is quiet. The bells of the cathedral ring out one last time, very softly, marking the hour of sleep. Bung, bung, bung. The sound vibrates gently in your chest, slowing your heart, slowing your breath. You are part of the timeless beauty of the city, resting in the heart of history. The stone is cool, the night is long, the dream is waiting. Let go of the waking world completely. Let go of the names and dates. There is only the feeling of rest. The sanctuary is secure. The conspiracy is a whisper in the wind. You are asleep in the safety of the dome. Deep, restful, healing sleep. The Italian night wraps you in its velvet arms. Good night to the dome. Good night to the river. Good night to the city.
The heavy bronze doors of the sacristy have done their work, protecting the life of the magnificent Lorenzo. And now we move outward, flowing like water from the center of the church into the wider streets of Florence,
breathing in the air of the late afternoon, which has grown heavy and still. The shock of the morning has faded into a deep, resonant silence that blankets the terracotta rooftops and the winding cobblestone alley of Tuscany. A silence that is not empty, but filled with a profound sense of relief and resilience. As you lie comfortably in your bed, let the tension of the previous scene dissolve completely, replaced by the comforting knowledge that the danger has passed and safety has been restored. Imagine yourself walking invisibly through the city as the sun begins its slow descent toward the western horizon, casting long golden shadows that stretch across the piazzas and climb the walls of the ancient palaces. The news of the betrayal has spread through the city, but instead of chaos, it has birthed a solemn unity, a protective hush that falls over the population like a warm cloak. The people of Florence, the weavers, the merchants, the artists, and the bakers have all returned to their homes or stand quietly in their doorways, watching with reverence as the survivor makes his way back to the safety of his home. Picture the procession, a tight circle of loyal friends and guards surrounding Lorenzo, moving swiftly but calmly through the labyrinth of streets. There is a hypnotic rhythm to their footsteps on the stones, a steady beat that echoes off the walls, click, clack, click, clack, signaling the return of order. You are watching this from a place of perfect tranquility, feeling the cool evening breeze brushing against your face, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine and the earthy aroma of the river Arno. The city itself seems to be exhaling, releasing the breath it held during the violence of the morning, settling back into its ancient foundations. As the group approaches the Palazzo Medici, the great family home on the Via Larga, you can see the imposing strength of the building, a fortress disguised as a palace. The rusticated stone blocks of the ground floor are rough and massive, built to withstand any storm, while the upper stories are smooth and elegant, a testament to the balance of power and beauty. The massive wooden gates of the palace swing open to receive the master, the hinges moving silently, well-oiled and precise. Inside the courtyard, the air is cool and fragrant, protected from the heat of the day by the high walls and the graceful arches of the loggia. A fountain in the center trickles softly, a sound of pure peace, water falling into water, splashing gently against the stone basin. With the closing of the palace gates, the world outside is shut away completely, leaving only the sanctuary of the home. The betrayal is over, the survival is secured, and now begins the long, healing night. Imagine the feeling of safety that descends upon the household, the servants moving quietly to light the lamps and torches, creating pools of warm orange light that push back the shadows. The thick stone walls of the palazzo act as a barrier against the world, muting the sounds of the city until they are nothing more than a faint hum, like the sound of the ocean in a seashell. Lorenzo retires to his private chambers, a room hung with tapestries of wool and silk, the floor covered in soft carpets brought from the east. He sits in a heavy wooden chair, resting his head against the high back, feeling the adrenaline fade and the exhaustion take its place. This is the exhaustion of survival, a heavy, pleasant weight that pulls the eyelids down and relaxes the limbs. As you listen to this, feel that same heaviness in your own body, a signal that the day is done and it is time to rest. The conspiracy has failed, the line continues, and the order of the world is maintained. Outside,
The sky turns from gold to a deep bruised purple, and finally to a velvety black, studded with the bright, clear stars of the Tuscan night. The moon rises over the hills, casting a silver light on the dome of the cathedral and the tower of the Palazzo Vecchio, watching over the city like a silent guardian. The streets of Florence are empty now, save for the occasional patrol of the night watch, their torches flickering in the breeze, their presence a reassurance that all is well. The Arno River flows silently beneath the Ponte Vecchio, the dark water moving steadily towards the sea, carrying away the troubles of the day, washing the city clean. There is a profound sense of continuity here, a feeling that no matter what happens, the river will flow, the moon will rise, and the city will stand. The silence in the streets is not fearful, it is peaceful, a slumbering quiet that wraps around every house and every room. You are part of this stillness. You can imagine yourself looking out from a high window in the Medici Palace, gazing over the sleeping rooftops. The tiles are cool and damp with the evening dew. The swallows have returned to their nests. The church bells toll the hour, a deep, mellow sound that vibrates through the air and into your bones, soothing and grounding you. The betrayal is a thing of the past, a story written in the history books, but the peace of this night is real and present. The survival of the family is a testament to endurance, a reminder that we can weather the storms of life and find a safe harbor at the end of the day. As the night deepens, the palace settles into a rhythm of sleep. The fires in the hearths burn low, turning to glowing embers that radiate a gentle, consistent heat. The guards at the gate lean on their halberds, their eyes heavy, lulled by the quiet of the street. The city of Florence is a cradle of stone and art, holding its children safe in the dark. You are safe here, too. The distance of centuries protects you. The comfort of your bed supports you. The story is a thread that guides you into the labyrinth of dreams, not a maze of danger, but a garden of rest. Let the image of the stone walls make you feel secure. Let the sound of the fountain make you feel calm. The Medici are sleeping. The conspirators are gone. The night is yours. Feel the relaxation spreading through your muscles, unknotting the tension in your shoulders, smoothing the lines on your forehead. Your breath is slow and steady, matching the flow of the river. In and out. In and out. The silence of Tuscany is a physical weight, a soft blanket that covers you, keeping you warm and still. There is no need to think about the plot anymore, no need to worry about the outcome. It is already decided. It is already history. All that remains is the atmosphere of the night, the beauty of the stars, and the promise of a new dawn that is hours away. You are drifting deeper into the story, becoming an observer of the quiet, a listener to the silence. The shadows in the room are friendly. The darkness is a canvas for your dreams. The survival of the past brings peace to the present. We leave the Palazzo Medici now, floating up and away, leaving the family to their rest. We float over the sleeping city, over the silent dome, over the dark hills. The world is vast and quiet. The stars are infinite. You are small and safe. The story of the conspiracy has turned into a lullaby of survival. Sleep is the ultimate safety, the ultimate fortress. Enter into it now with a glad heart and a weary body. The gates are closed. The watch is set. The silence is complete.
drift, float, sleep. The night is long and full of peace. Good night to Florence. Good night to the river. Good night to the stars. Sleep now.
Leave the warm and fragrant olive groves of Tuscany behind you now, letting the golden light of Italy fade into a soft memory, and prepare to travel north, far north, to a land of rugged beauty and deep, mysterious shadows. We are crossing the continent, flying over the patchwork fields of France and the great expanse of the English Channel, until we see the mist-covered hills of Scotland rising from the sea. The air here is crisp and cold, carrying the scent of pine, damp earth, and the salty tang of the North Sea. And as you snuggle deeper into the warmth of your bed, pulling the blankets up to your chin, imagine yourself standing at the foot of a great black rock that juts out of the earth like a sleeping giant. Upon this rock sits a fortress that has watched over the city of Edinburgh for centuries, a castle born of fire and stone, sitting upon the plug of an extinct volcano. It is November in the year 1440, and the Scottish winter is beginning to show its teeth, wrapping the castle in a swirling coat of gray fog that muffles the sounds of the city below and makes the world feel small and intimate. The castle is a place of immense strength, its walls thick and imposing, built to withstand sieges and storms, and tonight it is the setting for a tale that has been whispered in the dark for hundreds of years, the tale of the Black Dinner. But do not fear the ghosts of the past, for we are safe in the present, merely observers of a time long gone, watching the events unfold through the softening lens of history. Inside the castle, the great hall is a cavern of warmth and light, a stark contrast to the cold wind that whistles around the stone towers outside. A massive fire roars in the central hearth, the flames leaping high and casting dancing shadows on the high vaulted ceiling, while the smell of roasting venison, baked bread, and spiced wine fills the air, a rich and comforting aroma that promises a night of plenty. The young King of Scotland, James II, is just a boy of 10 years old, a child with a crown too heavy for his head, sitting at the high table with eyes wide with wonder. Beside him sits his guest, the 16-year-old William Douglas, the Earl of Douglas, a young man of immense power and charisma, the head of a clan that rivals the king himself in wealth and influence. They are just two boys, laughing and sharing stories, unaware of the silent currents of ambition that flow beneath the surface of the feast. As you breathe in slowly, feel the texture of the atmosphere, the heavy velvet tapestries that line the walls to keep out the chill, the rough wood of the long tables, polished smooth by years of use, the flickering light of 1,000 tallow candles that creates a golden haze in the room. The sounds of the banquet are a rhythmic lullaby, the clatter of silver knives on pewter plates, the murmur of low voices, the soft strumming of a harp in the corner, played by a minstrel whose fingers move like water over the strings. It is a scene of perfect hospitality, a moment of peace before the turning of the tide. The conspiracy here is not one of hidden daggers in the dark, but of a betrayal in plain sight, orchestrated by the king's advisors, men who fear the power of the Black Douglas clan. They watch from the shadows of the hall, their faces grim and set, waiting for the signal that will change the fate of the nation. But for now, there is only the feast. Imagine the taste of the wine, rich and sweet, the warmth of the fire on your face, the feeling of being enclosed in a fortress that is separated from the world by height and stone. The laughter of the two boys echoes in the hall, a sound of pure innocence that defies the gravity of the politics surrounding them. They speak of horses and swords, of hunting in the wild glens, of a future they believe they will share. But history has a different script. As the dinner draws to a close, a hush begins to fall over the room. The music stops. The laughter dies away. The servants stop moving. The only sound is the crackling of the logs in the fire and the howling of the wind outside, a lonely, mournful sound that seems to press against the windows. The great doors at the end of the hall open with a slow, heavy creak, and a single servant enters, carrying a silver platter covered by a dark cloth. The rhythm of his footsteps is slow and deliberate, doom, 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 echoing on the stone floor. He approaches the high table and places the platter before the young Earl of Douglas. The king looks on in confusion, the Earl in sudden realization. The cloth is lifted to reveal the head of a black bull, the ancient Scottish symbol of death. It is a moment frozen in time, a tableau of shock and silence that has been painted and written about for centuries. But as you lie there, safe and warm, let the horror of the moment dissolve into the mist of the past. We do not dwell on the violence that followed, the dragging of the brothers into the courtyard, the sharp fall of the blade. Instead, we focus on the fading of the light, the closing of the chapter. The boys are led away, not into pain, but into history. They become legends, the tragic princes of the Black Dinner, their story serving as a warning and a wonder. The great hall empties, the candles burn down one by one until they flicker and die, sending thin trails of smoke up into the darkness. The fire turns to ash, the red glow fading to a dull gray. The castle settles down to sleep. The wind continues to blow around the rock, a timeless song that has mourned for kings and earls alike. You are floating above it all now, looking down at the dark silhouette of Edinburgh Castle against the night sky. It stands solid and immovable, a testament to the endurance of the earth, the ambitions of the advisors, the fear of the clan, the innocence of the king. All of these emotions have been absorbed by the stones, leaving only a deep, resounding silence. The fate of Scotland was changed that night, the power of the Douglas clan broken, but the river of time flows on, smoothing over the rough edges of the tragedy. You feel a deep sense of peace, knowing that the storm is over. The ghosts are at rest. The castle is a museum now, a place where tourists walk and whisper. But in the realm of sleep, it is a sanctuary of quiet. The heavy oak doors are barred. The drawbridge is raised. You are safe within the fortress of your own mind. The story of the Black Dinner is a reminder that even the most dramatic moments of history eventually fade into the quiet of the night. The mist rolls in thicker now, covering the castle, covering the city, covering the world in a blanket of white. The sound of the harp returns in your imagination, faint and sweet, playing a lullaby for the fallen, a lullaby for the sleeping king, a lullaby for you. The tension leaves your body, draining away like water, leaving you heavy and relaxed. The stone walls of the castle protect you. The high rock lifts you up above the worries of the world. You are drifting in the cool, dark air of the Scottish night. The stars peek through the clouds, tiny diamonds in a sea of velvet. The story is done. The feast is over. The hall is silent. There is nothing left to do but sleep. Deep, restorative sleep. The darkness is kind, the silence is profound. You are sinking deeper and deeper into the comfort of the night. Good night to the castle, good night to the mist, good night to the boys. Sleep now.
We leave the cold, wind-swept rock of Edinburgh behind us now, letting the heavy gray mists of the north fade away like a half-remembered dream, and we allow our minds to travel south once again, crossing the dark waters of the Channel and the vast sleeping forests of Europe, until we reach the ancient heart of the world, the eternal city of Rome. It is the year 897, a time deep in the Middle Ages, long before the bright lights of the Renaissance would paint the city in gold, a time when Rome was a place of shadows and ruins, where great marble columns lay broken in the tall grass and ivy climbed over the statues of forgotten emperors. As you lie comfortably in your bed, feeling the soft support of your mattress and the warmth of your blankets, imagine the atmosphere of this ancient city at night, a place of deep, resonant silence where the past is always present, whispering from the stones. It is January, and a damp, chilling winter has settled over Italy, the air thick with the scent of wet stone, old earth, and the smoke of wood fires burning in the small houses huddled among the ruins. We are drifting toward the Basilica of St. John Lateran, the oldest and highest ranking of the 4 papal major basilicas, a massive structure of brick and stone that stands like a fortress against the night. But tonight, this holy place is the setting for the strangest event in the history of the Church, a conspiracy of madness and silence known as the Cadaver Synod. Do not feel fear, for we are just observers floating in the safety of the present, protected by the barrier of centuries, watching this surreal play unfold with the detachment of a dreamer. Inside the basilica, the air is cold and smells of incense, beeswax, and the dampness of the crypts. The only light comes from the flickering torches held by trembling monks, casting long, erratic shadows that dance wildly on the high walls and the painted ceiling, making the faces of the saints look as if they are weeping. The nave of the church is filled with a hushed, nervous crowd of clerics and nobles, their breath visible in the chilly air, their eyes wide with disbelief at what they are about to witness. At the front of the church, sitting on a throne of carved wood and velvet, is the defendant, Pope Formosus. But Formosus has been dead for 7 months. He has been pulled from his tomb, dressed in the heavy golden vestments of the papacy, and propped up on the chair to stand trial for crimes he can no longer deny. As you breathe in slowly and deeply, feel the utter absurdity and the quiet tragedy of this scene, a moment where the lines between the living and the dead have been erased by the ambition of men. The current pope, Stephen VI, sits opposite the corpse, his face twisted with anger, shouting accusations that echo through the vast empty spaces of the cathedral. "Why did you usurp the chair of Peter?" he screams, his voice cracking with emotion. The silence that follows is profound. The defendant does not answer. Formosus sits motionless, his head nodding slightly as the wind drafts through the basilica, his eyes fixed on a point in the distance that only he can see. There is a hypnotic quality to this one-sided interrogation, a rhythm of shouting and silence, shouting and silence. To the modern mind, it is a nightmare, but here, in the soft focus of a sleep story, it becomes a meditation on the vanity of human wishes. Look at the scene closely, the gold thread on the robes glinting in the torchlight, the pale parchment-like skin of the silent pope, the dust motes dancing in the shafts of light. It is like a painting that has come to life,
a macabre theater piece performed for an audience of shadows. A young deacon stands behind the throne, tasked with speaking for the dead man, but he is terrified, his voice a mere whisper that is lost in the cavernous room. The conspiracy here is one of spite, a political vendetta carried beyond the grave, proving that the desire for power does not end with death. But as the trial drags on, the anger of the living pope begins to seem small and petty against the immense, dignified silence of the dead one. For Moses has achieved the ultimate peace. He is beyond the reach of insults, beyond the reach of judgment, resting in the true silence of the void. As you listen, allow yourself to identify not with the shouting accuser, but with the silent defendant. Feel the stillness of being completely at rest, of having no need to explain, no need to defend, no need to speak. The verdict is read, the body is stripped of its vestments, and the 3 fingers of benediction are cut from its hand. But these are just actions in the physical world, meaningless to the spirit that has long since departed. The story tells us that the body was eventually thrown into the river Tiber, and this is where our visualization shifts, moving from the dark enclosed basilica to the open, flowing water. Imagine the river at night, a wide, dark ribbon of water moving steadily through the sleeping city. The body of the old pope sinks into the cool embrace of the current, weightless and free. The water washes away the dust of the grave, the shame of the trial, and the heaviness of the robes. It carries him gently toward the sea, away from the madness of Rome, away from the conspiracies of men. The Tiber is a river of forgiveness, a river of sleep. Listen to the sound of the water, rush, 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 a soothing white noise that drowns out the shouting of the trial. The horror of the event fades, leaving only a sense of release. The cadaver synod was a conspiracy that turned out to be true, but in the end, it only proved the power of silence. The living pope who arranged the trial would soon be overthrown and killed himself, the cycle of violence continuing. But the silent pope drifted away into history, finding his rest in the arms of the river. Now, bring your attention back to your own resting place.
You are safe in your bed, far from the cold stones of the 9th century. The room around you is warm and quiet. The strange events of the past are just stories, gentle ripples on the surface of time that do not touch the deep calm of your soul. The image of the silent basilica fades. The torches are extinguished one by one, leaving you in a comfortable, velvety darkness. You can feel the heavy relaxation spreading through your limbs, from your shoulders down to your hands, from your hips down to your feet. The trial is over. The court is adjourned. The silence has won. There is a deep comfort in knowing that eventually all noise stops, all arguments end, and peace returns. The city of Rome sleeps under the moon, its ruins softened by the shadows, its secrets buried deep in the earth. You are part of this great universal sleep. The bizarre story of the silent pope becomes a lullaby, a strange but soothing reminder that nothing can disturb true peace. The river flows on, endless and deep. The stars wheel overhead, slow and majestic. You are drifting, floating, sinking into the mattress. The absurdity of the world melts away, leaving only the simplicity of the breath. In and out, in and out. The darkness of the church becomes the darkness of your room, a protective shell that keeps you safe. Let go of the need to understand the why and the how, and simply accept the what is. Silence, darkness, rest.
The voices of the past are gone. The only sound is the gentle rhythm of your own heart. The story is finished. The book is closed. The night is yours. Sleep is the river that carries you, like the silent pope, away from the trials of the day, toward the ocean of dreams. You are weightless. You are free. You are asleep. Deep, healing, ancient sleep. Good night to the Pope. Good night to the river. Good night to Rome. Sleep now.
We leave the flowing waters of the Tiber and the strange, silent echoes of Rome behind us now, letting the ancient city fade into the velvet darkness of the night, and we rise up, higher and lighter, floating above the map of medieval Europe like a bird gliding on a warm updraft. From this height, the castles and cathedrals are just small shapes in the mist, and the borders of kingdoms are invisible lines drawn on the earth. We have traveled through time, witnessing the fall of knights, the vanishing of princes, the plots of bankers, and the trials of popes. But now we take a moment to pause and reflect on the invisible web that connected them all. As you lie comfortably in your bed, feeling the soft support of the mattress beneath you and the warmth of the covers around you, imagine that we are entering a space of pure contemplation, a quiet room in the mind where we can look at the tapestry of history without getting tangible within its threads. This is the Web of Royal Intrigues, a complex and fascinating network of secrets that shaped the world we know. But tonight it is harmless, a pattern of shadows and light that we can observe with the detachment of a dreamer. Imagine a vast, generic palace that exists nowhere and everywhere, a composite of all the fortresses we have visited. It is late at night, and the great halls are empty. The servants have gone to their rest, and the dogs are sleeping by the dying embers of the fire. The only movement is the flicker of the torches in the long stone corridors, casting shadows that stretch and sway against the walls. We are walking slowly down one of these corridors, our feet making no sound on the thick woven runners that cover the cold stone floor. To our left and to our right are heavy wooden doors, bound with iron and locked tight. Behind these closed doors is where the real history happened, not on the noisy battlefields with trumpets and drums, but here, in the quiet, in the whispers, in the dimly lit solar, where a king spoke to his advisor, or a queen wrote a letter to her brother. As you breathe in slowly and deeply, feel the heavy, muffled silence of this place, a silence that absorbs secrets and keeps them safe. The air smells of old wood, lavender sachets, and the faint metallic scent of gold. We stop in front of one of the doors and imagine looking through the keyhole, seeing a room bathed in the soft glow of a single candle. Two figures are huddled over a table covered in maps and charts. They are speaking in low voices, their words indistinguishable, just a soft murmur that sounds like the sea. They are moving pieces on the board of history, deciding the fate of nations with the stroke of a pen or the seal of a ring. It is a web of influence, delicate yet strong, connecting a marriage in Spain to a war in France, a loan in Florence to a coronation in London. Think of the spider that weaves its web in the corner of the ceiling, patient and precise. The web of intrigue was woven with the same patience, thread by thread, letter by letter, whisper by whisper.
It is a slow process, a game of waiting, and there is something deeply relaxing about observing this slowness. In our modern world, everything is instant. News travels at the speed of light. But in this medieval world, power shifted at the speed of a horse, at the speed of a sailing ship waiting for the wind. The conspirators had to wait weeks, sometimes months,
to see if their web had caught the prize. Feel that sense of extended time, the stretching out of days and nights, the long, slow rhythm of the past. As we continue to walk down the corridor, we think about the tools of this trade, the physical objects that held this power. A signet ring, heavy gold, warm from the wearer's hand, pressed into hot red wax to seal a promise. A small vial of glass, hidden in a velvet pouch, containing a sleeping potion or something stronger. A tapestry hanging on the wall, behind which a spy might stand, holding his breath, listening to the secrets of the court. These objects are harmless now, museum pieces resting in glass cases, their power gone. But in our story, they are charged with the energy of the night. The web connects everything. It connects the king in his high tower to the merchant in the market square. It connects the pope in the basilica to the soldier in the field. It is a reminder that everything is linked, that every action sends a ripple through the pond of time. But as you sink deeper into your pillow, letting your shoulders drop and your jaw relax, realize that this web is also a trap that the powerful built for themselves. They were caught in their own schemes, bound by their own secrets, forever watching the shadows. You, however, are free. You are outside the web. You are the observer, safe in the comfort of your own time, unburdened by the need to rule or to plot. The intricate complexities of their lives are just a soothing puzzle for you, a pattern that lulls you to sleep. The kings and queens, the dukes and earls, they have all played their parts and left the stage. The doors are all closed now. The candles are all burnt out. The whispers have faded into the silence of the centuries. The castle corridor stretches on, endless and peaceful, leading you deeper into the sanctuary of your own mind. Imagine the texture of the heavy velvet curtains that hang over the windows, blocking out the cold night air. Run your hand mentally over the fabric, feeling the softness, the weight, the luxury. These curtains muffle the world, creating a cocoon of silence. Behind closed doors, power shifted, but behind your closed eyes, peace is settling in. The web of intrigue unravels, the threads becoming loose and soft, turning into the threads of a dream. You can see the connections breaking, the tension releasing, the knots untying. There is no more strategy, no more planning, only the gentle flow of existence. The history books are filled with these stories, page after page of plots and counterplots. But tonight, we close the book. We place it on a high shelf in the library of the mind, out of reach. We are done with the analysis. We are done with the thinking. We are only feeling now. We feel the darkness of the room, the comfort of the bed, the slow, steady beat of the heart. The reflection on power brings us to the realization that the greatest power of all is the power to rest, to let go, to be still. The royal intrigues were driven by a desire for control, but sleep is the act of surrendering control, of trusting the night to hold you. Give yourself permission to surrender now. The web is gone. The castle is fading. The corridors dissolving into mist. You are floating in a space of pure potential, a space where nothing is happening and everything is peaceful. The ghosts of the past are friendly. They nod to you as they pass, grateful that their stories have been heard, happy to return to the silence. The shift of power is over. The balance is restored. The night is heavy and sweet. You're drifting on a sea of tranquility, far away from the courts of Europe, far away from the ambitious men and women who once walked those halls. They are sleeping now, too, in their stone tombs in the quiet earth. Join them in the brotherhood of sleep, the universal rest that claims us all. The web has turned into a hammock, swinging gently in the breeze, holding you, rocking you, back and forth, back and forth. The intrigue is just a story. The peace is real. The silence is real. The sleep is real. You are safe. You are warm. You are loved by the night. Let the final threads of the web float away, carried by the wind, leaving you perfectly free. Free to dream. Free to rest. Free to sleep. Deep, deep sleep. The closed doors remain closed. The secrets remain hidden, and you remain at peace. Sleep now. We have traveled far tonight, drifting across the vast and misty landscapes of the past, visiting the stone castles of England, the dark dungeons of France, the sunlit cathedrals of Italy, and the cold fortresses of Scotland, witnessing the rise and fall of kings and the weaving of great conspiracies. But now the time has come to end our journey and return to the safety and comfort of the present moment. Imagine yourself back in that warm, circular room of the Library of Forgotten Whispers, seated in the deep red velvet armchair where we began, feeling the soft cushion supporting your back and the stillness of the room wrapping around you like a protective cloak. The candle that has been your companion through these stories has burned low, its flame now just a small golden bead of light that flickers gently, casting long soft shadows that stretch across the floor and climb the walls of books. The fire in the great stone hearth has turned to a bed of glowing embers, pulsing with a deep, rhythmic red heat that warms the air and makes you feel heavy and drowsy. On the mahogany table before you lies the great book, the Chronicle of Medieval Conspiracies, its pages open to the last story we have told. You look at the script one last time, the elegant black ink fading into the cream-colored parchment, the words blurring slightly as your eyes grow heavy with sleep. It is time to close the book, to seal the secrets away for another night, and to let the history rest. You reach out with a hand that feels pleasantly heavy and relaxed, your fingers brushing against the worn leather binding, feeling the texture of centuries. And slowly, with a sense of infinite finality and peace, you begin to close the heavy cover. The parchment pages rustle softly together, a whispering sound like dry leaves in an autumn breeze, settling back into place, one on top of the other, layer upon layer of history coming to rest. The cover falls shut with a soft, solid thud, a sound of closure that echoes gently in the quiet room. You reach out and fasten the silver clasps, click, click, locking the book, securing the stories inside. The conspiracies are finished, the plots are resolved, the characters have returned to the silence of the ages. You sit back in the chair, letting out a long, slow sigh of relief, feeling a profound sense of completion. The medieval world is now closed, sealed within the leather binding, and you are ready to leave this sanctuary of the past. You stand up slowly from the chair, your body feeling loose and limp, moving with the slow grace of a dream. You walk across the thick woven rug, passing the rows of silent books, their spines glinting faintly in the dying light, acknowledging them with a sense of gratitude for the journey they provided. You reach the heavy oak door of the library, the iron handle cool and solid beneath your hand. As you push the door open, you do not step out into the cobblestone street of the Middle Ages, but into a mist of transition, a soft, swirling fog that bridges the gap between then and now. You step through the doorway, and the library fades behind you, the smell of old paper and beeswax dissolving into the fresh, clean air of the present. You are walking through the mists of time, moving forward through the centuries, watching the years fly by like clouds scudding across the moon. The 16th century passes, then the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, the pace accelerating gently, smoothly, carrying you back to your own time. The castles turn into ruins and then into museums. The horses are replaced by cars. The torches are replaced by electric lights. But you are floating above it all, unaffected, merely observing the flow of the river of time. You are returning to your own life, to your own home, to your own bed. The mist clears, and you find yourself back in your room, the familiar sanctuary of your own making. It is the year 2025, and the world outside is quiet and dark. You are safe in your bed, the sheets soft against your skin, the pillow cool beneath your head, the blanket heavy and warm over your body. The transition is complete. You have brought with you the sense of peace from the library, the feeling of heaviness from the history, but you have left the worries and the dangers behind. Feel the mattress supporting you, pushing up gently to hold your weight, allowing you to completely let go of any tension remaining in your muscles. You are here, now, in the present moment, and everything is well. The medieval conspiracies are just stories now, harmless tales that have lulled your mind into a state of readiness for sleep. The room you are in is secure, the doors are locked, the windows are closed, and you are surrounded by the comforts of the modern world. Listen to the sounds of your own environment, perhaps the hum of a fan, the distant sound of a passing car, or simply the silence of your own home. These are the sounds of safety, the sounds of now. Your breathing has slowed down to a deep, rhythmic pace, matching the calmness of your mind. Inhale slowly, filling your lungs with the peaceful air of the present, and exhale fully, letting go of the past, letting go of the stories, letting go of the day. You are closing the book of your own day as well, acknowledging that the work is done, the tasks are finished, and there is nothing left to do but rest. The Book of Ages is a metaphor for the mind, and now we are closing that mind, shutting down the thoughts, turning off the lights in the mental library. Imagine a switch in your mind, a simple dimmer switch, and slowly turn it down. The lights of your thoughts become dimmer, softer, warmer, until they are just a faint glow, and then, click, they go out completely, leaving you in a velvet darkness that is rich and restorative. You are no longer a traveler in time. You are simply a sleeper in a bed.
The kings and queens of the stories are sleeping in their tombs. The knights are sleeping in the earth, and you are joining them in the universal brotherhood of rest. The separation between the past and the present dissolves into the singularity of sleep. There is no time here, only the eternal now of the dream world. You feel a wave of relaxation washing over you, starting at the top of your head and flowing down,
Down, down, through your face, your neck, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your chest, your stomach, your hips, your legs, and your feet. Every muscle is loose, every nerve is calm. The closing of the book was the signal your body needed to shut down. You are heavy, sinking deeper into the mattress, as if you were made of lead, as if gravity is pulling you gently into the earth. The medieval world has faded to a tiny speck in the distance, a star in the night sky, beautiful but far away. You are grounded in the comfort of your bed. The sensation of the leather book under your fingers is replaced by the sensation of the soft cotton of your sheets. The smell of the library is replaced by the fresh scent of your laundry. The sound of the scribe's quill is replaced by the sound of your own breath. You are home. You are safe. You are back. The journey is over, and the destination is sleep. Allow yourself to drift in this comfortable space, floating between the memories of the stories and the anticipation of dreams. The book is closed. The latch is fastened. The shelf is full. There is nothing more to read, nothing more to see, nothing more to hear. There is only the quiet, the profound, healing quiet of the night. You are leaving the world of words and entering the world of silence. The present moment is a soft cushion, a warm blanket, a gentle embrace. Accept the gift of the present. Accept the gift of sleep. You have returned from the adventure of history to the peace of your own life. The return is smooth. The landing is soft. You are resting in the center of your own existence. The Book of Ages waits on the shelf, patient and silent, but you do not need it now. You need only the dark. You need only the rest. You need only the sleep. Closing the book has set you free, free to drift, free to dream, free to sleep. The present welcomes you with open arms. Sleep now.
Now that the book is closed and the library has faded into the shadows, we find ourselves standing at the very edge of the waking world, ready to take the final step into the comforting embrace of the night. The stories of the medieval past have all been told, the conspiracies have been unraveled, and the kings and queens have returned to the silence of history, leaving you with nothing but a profound sense of peace and the heavy, sweet sensation of exhaustion. You are no longer a traveler in time. You are simply a consciousness resting in a warm bed, safe and secure in the present moment, but your mind is ready to let go of the here and now. Imagine that a soft white mist is beginning to rise around you, a gentle fog that smells of cool water and night air, swirling slowly around the edges of your bed, softening the lines of the room and dimming the lights until everything is a blur of comfort. This is the mist of time, the space between moments, the quiet zone where dreams are born and where the conscious mind surrenders control to the deep wisdom of the body. As you lie there, feeling the mattress supporting every inch of your spine, imagine that this mist is warm and soothing, wrapping around your feet like a soft blanket, moving up over your legs, relaxing the muscles as it goes. You can feel the tension draining out of your calves, your knees, your thighs, dissolving into the white fog, leaving your legs feeling heavy and loose, as if they are sinking into warm sand. The mist continues to rise, flowing over your hips and your stomach, untying the knots of the day, soothing any tightness, bringing a deep, resonant warmth to the core of your body. Your breathing is slow and rhythmic, rising and falling like the gentle swell of a calm ocean, in and out, in and out, each breath taking you deeper into relaxation. The mist moves up to your chest, your shoulders, and your neck, the places where you carry the weight of the world, and as the fog touches them, the weight simply vanishes, lifted away by the vapor. Your shoulders drop away from your ears, sinking into the mattress, and your arms feel limp and heavy at your sides, your fingers curling naturally in a gesture of complete surrender. The mist reaches your face, cooling your forehead, smoothing out the tiny lines around your eyes and mouth, relaxing your jaw, unclenching your teeth, leaving your face expressionless and serene. You are completely covered now in this protective cloud of relaxation, a cocoon of white silence that shields you from the noise of the outside world and the noise of your own thoughts. You are drifting, floating, weightless and free, suspended in the mists of time. The medieval world we explored is now far below you, a distant memory, a patchwork quilt of castles and fields that is fading from view.
The voices of the past are silent. The intrigue is over. The ambition is gone. There is only you and the mist. There is only this moment of pure, unadulterated rest. Imagine that you are lying on a small, comfortable boat, a raft made of soft clouds, drifting down a slow, winding river that flows through this landscape of mist. The water is dark and smooth as glass, reflecting the few stars that shine dimly through the fog. The current is gentle, carrying you effortlessly downstream, away from the shores of wakefulness, toward the vast, dark ocean of sleep. You do not need to steer, you do not need to row, you do not need to do anything at all. The river knows the way. The river is taking you home. You can hear the faint sound of the water lapping against the sides of your cloud raft, a hypnotic, rhythmic sound, lap, 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 that synchronizes with the beating of your heart. As you drift further, the mist begins to change color, deepening from white to a soft twilight gray, and then to a rich, velvety violet. The light is fading, the world is dimming, and your eyes feel heavy, so heavy that it would be impossible to open them even if you wanted to. You are safe in the dark. The darkness is not empty, it is full of comfort, a heavy blanket that presses down on you gently, keeping you warm and secure. The river widens, the current slows, and you feel yourself entering a vast, open space of silence. This is the threshold of deep sleep. The thoughts that were racing through your mind earlier have slowed down, becoming distant echoes that you can barely hear. They are like birds flying away into the distance, becoming smaller and smaller until they disappear completely into the night sky. You are no longer thinking, you are only feeling. You feel the softness of the sheets. You feel the warmth of your skin. You feel the heaviness of your bones. You feel the slow, steady pulse of life within you. You are drifting deeper and deeper, sinking down through the layers of consciousness. Imagine a staircase leading down into a beautiful, quiet garden, a staircase with 10 wide stone steps. We will walk down these steps together, and with each step you will go deeper into sleep. 10. You take the first step, feeling your body relax even more, the heavy feeling doubling in intensity. 9. You step down again, letting go of the last lingering worries of the day, leaving them at the top of the stairs. 8. You are going deeper, the mist swirling around your ankles, cool and refreshing. 7. Your mind is clear and calm, like a still pool of water. 6. You are halfway down, feeling a profound sense of peace washing over you. 5. Your body is asleep, your mind is drifting, floating free. 4.
You are almost there. The Garden of Dreams is waiting for you at the bottom. 3. Deeper and deeper, letting go, shutting down. 2. One step left, hovering on the edge of the void. 1. You step off the last stair and land softly on the mossy ground of the dream world. You have arrived. You are fully relaxed, fully safe, fully ready to sleep. The garden is dark and quiet, filled with the scent of night-blooming flowers, jasmine and moonflower, a fragrance that lulls you into oblivion. You find a soft place to lie down in the grass, looking up at the eternal sky. The stars are not sharp points of light, but soft, glowing orbs that pulse gently. You watch them, and as you watch, they begin to blink out, one by one. One star goes out, then another, then another. The sky is becoming darker, richer, more restful. You are merging with the darkness, becoming one with the night. The separation between you and the universe is dissolving. You are the river. You are the mist. You are the night. There is no more history. There is no more future. There is only this deep, timeless now. The mists of time have carried you to the very center of peace. You are floating in a void of comfort, a space where nothing exists but rest. Allow yourself to sink. Allow yourself to fall. It is a safe fall, a slow descent into the softest featherbed imaginable. Your breath is so shallow now, so quiet, that you can hardly feel it. You are in a state of hibernation, a deep restorative stasis where your body can heal and your mind can renew itself. The conspirators of the past are sleeping with you. The world is sleeping with you. Everything is still. Everything is silent. You are drifting away, drifting, floating, sleeping. The word sleep echoes in your mind like a soft bell. Sleep, sleep, sleep. It is a command and a permission. You have permission to leave the world behind. You have permission to rest. The final threads of consciousness are snapping, gently, painlessly. The last image in your mind is of a calm, dark sea, stretching out to infinity. You are a drop of water returning to that sea. You slide into the water without a splash, merging with the depths. Down, 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 into the cool, dark, healing water. The surface is far above you now. The light is gone. There is only the deep. There is only the silence. There is only the sleep. You are safe. You are loved. You are asleep. The story is over. The journey is done. The mist has cleared. The night has won. Sleep now. Deep sleep. Good night. Good night. Good night.